What's good, YouTube? Ninetales here, and in this video we're tackling the third of 4 expert solo battles from EV Grove. In this case, it is Primarina EX. First of all, I want to apologize how long it's taking me to put these videos out. Between streaming and just life and responsibilities and stuff, I got kind of caught up, and these should have been out quite a while ago. I already have the list for them. It's just a matter of putting them together. Although for Primarina specifically, I want to specify that it's one of the more, I guess, the disclaimer of like it might take multiple chances is one of those that I really want to stress, because I feel like it's always the water ones, whether it was the Crabominable or Palkia, or it's just like they haven't given us too much fire support that's like worth putting into these 3 diamonds or less decks that could make anything more consistent. They just are very aggressive. Like if you try to like I've tried Blacephalon, I've tried a bunch of old things. So I wanted to stress that it might take you multiple tries, but this deck has been the most frustrating in terms of like doing this, because in practice there has been stretches where I go 3, 4, 5 games in a row where they don't do anything. They straight up don't find their Popplio, they don't do nothing. But then they'll go 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row where they just find turn 2 Primarina every time. And trust me, if they find turn 2 Primarina, there's little to nothing an all fire deck could do. As always on this channel, we do 3 diamonds or less and the type that they specify. So we're doing fires only, 3 diamonds or less, and you will see that list shortly. But let's focus on the list we're going against. Like I mentioned, it is a Primarina rare candy deck. Although most of the times it feels like they're just sitting behind Pyukumuku and Regice is just a wall. Honestly, I don't understand the pairings that they did here, because realistically this deck lives and dies by do they find Primarina. Nothing else really challenges you or is a struggle. But yeah, as for the cards in the deck list that you want to keep an eye on, are they only have Cyrus. Your backline is usually safe. You don't back out. We just put our Pokemon up front and attack until it's gone. Anything else? Cape is a little of the worst part is when they cape Regice, because it gets Regice, I don't know how you pronounce it, out of range of basically every Pokemon that we have, which is unfortunate. Pyukumuku, we have to play cards to play around the 50 damage that it does when it gets knocked out. And then yeah, Primarina is just a matter of like hoping that they don't see it. The how extra 30 damage doesn't really come up once Primarina starts swinging. We're cooked. The Lily again doesn't come up because Primarina cooks us. Granted, as you'll see in our list, we have ways of being able to 1v1 the Primarina, well, not Primarina, throw every Pokemon at Primarina and win. However, due to cards like How that give it extra damage, its own attack that heals it, Lily, and the Cape, this does become a hope they don't find Primarina challenge. But when they don't find Primarina, the best deck to do it with is Ninetales, Turtonator. Personally, these are the 2 strongest engines of like 3 diamond or less fire type Pokemon I could think of. Yes, they released a new Incineroar in the set that could technically 1v1 Primarina, because it does have the ability, the attack to flip 2 coins, and it does 100 per coin. So even with Cape, you're one-shotting Primarina if you get 2 heads. That, however, is a coin flip like method, and I don't want to recommend a coin flip method, because if there's anything more random than this challenge itself is adding a win condition to be a coin flip. So that's why I stuck to this. Although it is a little low end in the sense of how much damage you could do. The max you could do is 120. In a perfect world, a Turtonator followed by Ninetales does beat Primarina, as you do 90, 90s, and 180. We also have Blaine to kind of push Ninetales up that damage threshold of the Cape. Granted, if they have Lily and stuff, it gets really awkward. But nonetheless, we play our Turtonator Kiawe because that continues to be the best way to start a game, especially in fire decks, because you start swinging for 90, and if they don't have like a turn 2 Primarina, you basically breeze through the challenge as you just knock out Pokemon after Pokemon after Pokemon for the game. We do max out Blaine in this one because Ninetales, Ninetales needs Blaine to knock out Regice, and it also just the extra damage works with the Primarina. But if you were to feel like you needed to cut a card in this deck for something else, Blaine is probably the first card I would cut. Not completely. I would leave just 1 Blaine again, because you do need it for a Regice. Maybe you could put in Guzma to get rid of the Cape or something. Not too sure on how I feel that. Or maybe Red, so that you could boost both a Turtonator attack or a Ninetales. But again, those don't really change the numbers on and only work on the Primarina. Then we have Pokemon Center Lady. We do have to play around Pyukumuku. We also have to play around Popplio Sleep. So maybe a second Pokemon Center Lady. Although Popplio Sleep doesn't really come up because let's say you have Vulpix and they put you to sleep, you just evolve into Ninetales, it gets rid of the sleep and you knock out the Popplio. So that's like best case scenario. You kind of hope that happens. That's why it's only 1 PCL, because if they do it to Turtonator though, you do want to wake up there. 2 Capes, because you're trying to get out of range of a lot of their knockouts as much as possible. If we go back to the list that they had, just looking at Primarina, it hits for 40, but if it's pumped up, it hits for 80, which you have to make it 60 and 100 because of it's similar to the Crabominable numbers because of the weakness, of course. So when it's hitting for 80, Ninetales needs a Cape to survive the the hydro pump, and then once they get to the sparkling area or Araya, however you pronounce that, we're cooked. Again, if they get to Primarina too fast, we're cooked. That's something that we cannot avoid under the parameters of 3 diamonds or less and fire, given the cards we have presented to us. Even the Incineroar line, yes, you're 150 HP, and I'm talking about the 3 diamond Incineroar that came out in the most recent set in EV Grove. The issue is they have How, and they'll swing for 130, 150 at any moment with just the Primarina. So basically the rest of the deck is geared towards preventing or playing around the Primarina. We have Mars and Red card that we use exclusively once Poplio's on the board. If they don't have Poplio on the board, I don't care if their hand is 10 cards, we are not using Mars or Red card. We use it exclusively once Poplio hits in hopes that they lose the Primarina line for like the rest of it, from whether it's the rare candy, whether it's the Primarina, whether it's Brionne. Granted, the Brionne we could knock out with both Ninetales and Turtonator, so that's not the worst case scenario. And I do know this is a hope and prayer when we use Mars and Red, but it comes from basically my mentality of ranked, where all these rare candy decks, the best thing to do, or one of the few things you could do, is shuffle their hand back and hope they don't find it. And then the Sabrina is basically if the Primarina's in front of you, but you have like that last point hiding in the back, you could do that. Or if the Primarina gets set up in the back, and you know you could two-shot it with your Turtonator / Ninetales or a combination of both, you might want to bring it out earlier with Sabrina, and it might work out. Sabrina has multiple uses. It's another card that I consider playing at 2. So like Blaine, if you were to cut the Blaine, you could either add a second Sabrina, you could add Guzma, you could add more healing. Ultimately, it's going to come down to, do they find Primarina in time or too fast? Otherwise, this deck is very solid. It does what it does probably better than any other deck. It's one of the most aggressive decks that you could do under 3 diamonds or less, because Turtonator with Kiawe swinging for 90 immediately. Ninetales, if you find it on curve and you're going second, you're also hitting basically at the same rate. So yeah, we're really fast at getting to what we want to do. Just sometimes it is not enough if they find what they want to do faster. So as long as you keep that in mind, you'll be able to crush this event and not get too frustrated in the few attempts that it might take when they're pulling off like god hands. With that said, I truly hope this video helps you, and that your first attempt just works wonderful. Like the Primarina doesn't show up, and you just put this challenge behind as you can, like put it behind you, never look at this event again. But nonetheless, if it did help you, please consider subscribing. The next solo battle will be up rather shortly. I already have the list. It's just a matter of putting the video together. So thank you for having patience with me putting these out. It should have been out a lot earlier. Just got caught up with some things. As always, thank you for watching, and above all else, stay pro. All right, going second. And if we had Kiawe, this would be a lot simpler to choose what goes in the front, but I think we have to be optimistic here. Pyukumuku hits us for 40, so we could technically survive that. All right, Cape. Doesn't change any math. We need to find Ninetales. We could red card, but also we try to save that for. Hold on, what's the math here? For when they have Poplio, by the way. I think we would probably just cape here. Hopefully this works. Yeah, why would it though? That's okay, that's okay. We're fine. Alright, so technically we are at, well no, literally we're at 30. Which means we've taken 40, which means Ninetales is at just enough health to survive this. Right, if my math doesn't fail. Regardless, we could retreat with the same 1 energy, right? So let's make sure, yeah, we'll survive at 20. They're not playing Guzma or anything like that. They have no access to nothing next turn. So I believe it's more than safe to commit to this. And then there's also a scenario where if they find the Poplio, we're able to Sabrina it out and knock that out as well. There's also a line if they go, if they don't go Poplio in the back and they just build up Reggie Ice. I see here, this is another decent angle. The heal here doesn't really matter, I think. Nor can they attack next turn. So I think here, what we're gonna do is Get ready, get Ninetales ready to attack. But we're gonna charge up Kiawe. I think that's the correct play here. Yeah, let's do that. And then there's a world where if we find Blaine, we could get rid of Regice, and then Turtonator basically guarantees we knock out anything after effect. Alright, so this is an example of what's so frustrating about this challenge specifically. They'll either play like this, where they have no setup, they got nothing going for them, or they draw God Hand, and they have like Primarina turn 2, and honestly, I don't think I could figure out a fire deck with 3 diamonds or less that could consistently beat that Primarina turn 2 play. Which is like unfortunate. Like, it's not the type of content that I want to present. Like, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, by the way, we can't beat this. Like, but there is situations where that it feels like that. High key want a Sabrina here. The issue is that they do play Cyrus, right? That's what I'm afraid of here. And we don't have enough healing just to get out of Cyrus' range, because unless we, but we can't, yeah, because we can't knock out Regice here. I guess what we could do is put them in range. And then have Sabrina later on. Yeah, let's just sacrifice the Ninetales. I guess we could even set up this. We could do like this, I guess. And potentially just draw another Ninetales. Yeah, we didn't draw Blaine, which is what would have let us basically guarantee win no matter what they did. But now we're at the mercy of, do they find the Poplio and all that? Okay, yeah, all of this makes sense, by the way. Alright, so you see, next turn, they cannot attack with Regice. If they have Poplio, the most they could do is put us to sleep or whatever. So here is checkmate. This is one of those few, like, if they don't find Poplio, this challenge just gets so much easier. And I don't think there's a play where they beat us anyways, but let's do this anyways. This makes it so when we get hit, we get to survive Regice attack. I know the Regice doesn't have energy in this case, but in most cases, if it was in the back line, you want to be prepared for both of them. So that's why we have the capes. I guess I'm showing the ranges that you dodge with cape. Granted, in this situation specifically, doesn't matter. And yeah, even if they find Poplio here, we would just Sabrina. Yeah, GG's. Again, I'll show this example just because it shows that this does happen, by the way. In my practice, it happens a lot. So, but then there's also the other end. Like, this deck shows you two sides of it. Hopefully you guys find this half much like faster than you find the other half, and you could beat this first try easily when they play like this. Regardless, we always do multiple examples, so let's jump into the next one. All right, going second again, I think, or was that last example first? I don't know, but okay, we have the Kiawe example this time though. So like, I was like high key, hopefully they find Poplio and we could teach, like, show that we could beat the deck regardless. Although that might not age well. Because if they find, they might show us the other half that I was talking about in the first game. PCOM turn 1, that's a rookie mistake, really. Unless, you know, it gave them exactly what they needed. Let's go Pokeball here. The good thing is that even if they have Primarina here, we can't really get punished for it, right? And we're in the perfect situation to set up both Vulpix and Turtonator. Granted, had I just put all 3 energies on the Turtonator, I could have easily just put Vulpix energy next turn, but this makes it so, I don't know. It doesn't make a difference. All right, so okay, now that's just GG's, right? The second they don't just God tier open Primarina, that's it. The game's basically over because now Turtonator's on a killing spree, really. They don't have Mars. They don't have anything to punish drawing as much as you can. So you don't have to be like cautious with how you draw. You just, if you have it, you use it. Technically we don't have to commit cape yet, so let's just go with Fire Spin. Cape matters now when in this turn when they set up Pyukumuku and Regice, because Pyukumuku is gonna hit us for 40, puts us at 80. Actually no, it doesn't matter in this case, I believe. Like, we're like Turtonator's cooked here. Yeah, they found the other Poplio, so maybe I spoke too soon on GG's. All right. I think no matter what, we have to sacrifice. Yeah, we'll sacrifice Turtonator here. And if they go Regice, We have the Sabrina play to get rid of Poplio. As long as they don't find Primarina, we're good, is the moral. Had they not attacked us, we would be in a better spot for Turtonator to survive, but yeah, we just gotta let Turtonator go. Yeah, because the cape alone wouldn't have been enough to save him. It would have saved him from, like, if the backup was a Pyukumuku again, we could have saved him, but from Regice, there's no hope. But yeah, okay, so GG's because we'll go Ninetales, Sabrina, and knock out the backline. So again, I know this might not be one-to-one your experience, and I don't always say this in the videos. It tends to be in these only using fire decks, where it's almost like we're a glass cannon. Where I have to put that, and then I get very polarized comments in videos where you have to play with fire only. Because they haven't given us a better engine for fire only since, like, Genetic Apex. Like basically you're most consistent and fastest hitters Ninetales. Yes, now we have Turtonator with Kiawe, but that's not necessarily the definition of consistency. And at times he's just a wall. But this is one of the few water decks that we've gone against that giving them time is like your worst nightmare, because they'll start setting up Primarina. They'll start hitting you way too hard. But nonetheless, it's very doable. Trust me, this list works perfectly fine for me many times. Yes, there was times in between, maybe where I even lost like 2 or 3 in a row, because if they start seeing Primarina early, it's wraps, right? But there's a lot of their games happen where they just don't see the Primarina, or they don't even see Poplio. But when they do see Poplio, that's what we have the red card in March for, and you just gotta hope and pray, just like we do in ranked. And nonetheless, I really hope this video helps you. This is one of the more frustrating challenges, mainly because it feels so like it's almost like a coin flip in itself. If they find the Primarina early, we're cooked. If they don't, they're cooked. Hopefully you guys find that second half. I trust and hope that you will. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing, and above all else, stay pro.